doing?
Doing well. Having a real honest moment in front of all these people.
I appreciate you doing that. So today's our opportunity to talk about the performance management evaluation system that the central office is starting. And it is an opportunity for us to have what's called a beginning of the year alignment and development conversation. So I made a copy of what that document looks like so that you could look at it. In fact, that would be helpful. I'm not using my computer because it blew up just a few moments ago, so we're going old school today. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to ground each of ourselves in our district goals and our non-negotiables. So I've made a copy of the TPS goals, and I want to give you a moment to read those and our non-negotiables for this school year. So I want to stamp the importance of these goals in driving our work, our collective work, and our individual work, and just reiterate that we are here for the service and support of school sites. That is the ultimate mission for our roles, and as a result, we are held mutually accountable for these these goals and these non-negotiables, just as if we were school leaders or teachers. And that all of our conversation today should be in an effort to support the achievement of these goals and these non-negotiables. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay, I appreciate that. So to get started with our conversation, earlier this summer in July, we sat down as a team and we developed the focus areas for our work, and we also developed our goals. So you know that the leadership development team has two foci that we work on. The first thing is we find candidates. So we find school leaders, we hunt them down. And the second thing is we develop them. And we develop them with a goal of proficiency as fast and as hard as we can. So those are our two objectives. And then you can see under those two objectives, we have set goals. So under finding candidates, we have a school leader selection process with two goals. And then we have aspiring leaders programs, which are leadership development opportunities and locating candidates. Those have three goals. And then once we have leaders, we have our program offerings within our pipeline with two goals. And then a key lever that we use is coaching to develop people, and that has two goals as well. So as you look at the goals that we collectively made, various team members show up in different areas of the goals, sometimes more strongly than others, but in general, we all can find ourselves in each of the goals. But I wanted to give you a moment to tell me, where do you feel that you most strongly show up in the work that you do in our goals?
Well, school leader selection process, that's pretty much me. The team does support with that, but I manage all the back end communication, scoring, all of that, communicating with candidates. So goal 1 and 2 are directly related to me. Aspiring leaders, that's really Joe's wheelhouse. I do support though in emerging leaders too, even though I don't own that cohort. I write content and facilitate one of the blocks. So, and because that's directly related to the school leader selection process, that's my connection there. Developing leaders, I don't own any of the new leader cohorts per se, but I am supporting 2 of our new coaches with writing content and facilitating the Principal 1 and AP 2 cohorts. So having relevant content, facilitation, and application would be something I could influence. And then through coaching, I think that also lends up to that goal 1 under program, because I will be stating the importance of the cohort sessions with my leaders and looking for those things, the look-fors that we have, or the outcomes we have for our sessions. We'll be looking for those in the field so I can make that connection. And then my leaders being proficient on McREL is within my influence as well.
Great. So you see strong connections between your personal work and our collective goals?
Yep.
Awesome. So today we want to talk about what are individual goals for yourself, anywhere from 1 to 3, that you would like to work on this year that aligns and supports our team goals which ultimately align and support the district goals that we're aiming toward. So I'd love to take just a few moments to hear, what are you thinking about as far as some goals that you would like to personally work on this year?
So I have 2 leaders that are on coaching plans, and the goal is for them to be proficient by the end of the year, but I really think that with these 2 leaders and the work we're doing, they would be proficient on the McCrell indicators or McCrell responsibilities in their plan by December. I think if I'm really intentional in working that plan the way that I need to, that can happen. So that would be a goal for myself. But that also goes into maybe a second goal in preparation and planning.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So I would love to spend all my time in schools with leaders, but being my 4th year in this role, that if you do that, you show up, if you're unprepared, then it's not beneficial for them and you end up just putting out fires the whole time you're there. And so scheduling in intentional prep time for my coaching visits is really important. I just struggle, I know I struggle to have adequate preparation time, because if someone's like, oh, can you come out? Then I'm like, yes, and that's the time that I give up, but that doesn't serve them well ultimately and doesn't help us reach our goals. So part of that preparation would be prepping for my leaders that have coaching plans and really using their plans as a focus. But just preparation, I have 10 leaders on my caseload right now, so preparation for all of them is important.
All right, so I want to make sure I heard you accurately. The first goal that you're interested in is around coaching plans.
Mm-hmm.
And coaching plans is a specific developmental plan for a newly hired school leader that attempts to fill a gap in a skill or set of knowledge. And you have 2 individuals that you're responsible for, and you want to urgently dive into that work and assist those school leaders in achieving proficiency by mid-year, which would be December.
Yes.
Great. And then the second goal you discussed is the importance of planning and preparation and supporting school leaders in the field. And that you want to be intentional in setting aside time to be well prepared, so that when you go out and work with school leaders, you are driving with strategic intention toward the goals and what they need as individuals.
Yes.
Awesome. So around those 2 goals, how would you know if you were being successful in developing a principal on a coaching plan, or a new school leader on a coaching plan that was to be proficient by December? What might that look like or sound like?
So part of the coaching plan is tracking the work that we're doing and notating which part of the goal we're addressing in every visit. And so if it's an instructional goal, it would be, if we're in 5 classrooms, out of 5 opportunities, how many times did they meet a specific part of the goal? So maybe they met 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 5. The way that the coaching plan is written, that by the end of the year they need to be at 80% consistently that's the goal, and with that they should be at proficient on McCrell. So I think some of it would be reviewing, like, is the work that I'm intentionally doing, am I able to cover all of the goal areas, and how well are they achieving that every time? It's really intentional tracking. That's really hard to keep up with, and I need to do a better job or find a different system so that I'm always going in after a visit or during a visit and inputting the work that we're doing. But if I've planned for it, I could already have it in there, and then I could just adjust if there's something that we didn't get to.
Let's write that down so you don't forget.
Pre-insert. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And then when you think about goal number 2, which is around planning,
Yep.
what might be evidence that you know you're on track or you're being successful when you're doing that work?
It would be my calendar. Like, I've worked really hard. I have my calendar pretty built out through the last week of September so that I can track the frequency of visits with different leaders. And getting that, like, I have a certain color of my calendar, and it says coaching prep, it's bright blue. And so even just a visual of my calendar, looking for that color, shows how much time I've intentionally spent on prepping for site visits. So I think I need to establish a baseline of like, or a goal of like how many hours will I spend doing that. Different people take different amounts of time to prep for. Some people, it feels a lot easier than others. Some of my second year principals feel easier than some of my newer people. I think on a really busy week, I've maybe had an hour of prep time during the week and I end up prepping at home, which is not the goal because then I'm just tired and grumpy that I'm doing it at home. I think for 10 people, I don't see all 10 of them every week, but I see a good 6 of them every week. I could spend if I scheduled 3 hours, that would give me 30 minutes, like 30 minutes a person.
That feels like a good starting point.
I think so. And then I could adjust if I'm doing that and I still don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Then I could adjust.
Okay, great. Anything else? Any other goals or anything else top of mind?
You know, when I think about school leader selection process, a lot of this lands in the recruitment. So like when Joe's doing recruitment, she's really recruiting candidates of color. So that's really not me. But I think I could set a goal around just the amount of time that I carve out each week to be checking applicants and communicating and getting people on track, keeping the checking certifications and all the other things that I do. Again, that's something that happens at home a lot because it's just hard during the week when so much of my time is in schools.
So let's transition and talk about competencies. So Tulsa Public Schools has a set of competencies that we look at in regards to our role, and so I've made a copy. These are a copy of the individual contributor competencies, and I'd love for you to take a look at this and see if you can find competencies that you are interested in focusing on that would be in support of the goals that you just talked about. So take a moment and think about that and read the document.
Okay.
What spoke to you?
So when I'm looking at like the bottom two, the effective teaming and self-management, I think just even the goal around my own time management falls under self-management. The first bullet that says continually seeks to improve individual work, demonstrating candor and ability to identify weakness. I think my calendar being shared with you and the team is a really transparent way to say like, this is my goal. Am I meeting it? Yes or no?
Okay.
And then under effective teaming, taking the initiative to develop self and peers, still building my own skills in management preparation. And I think supporting my leaders could be in this, but I think about the work that I'm doing with some of our new coaches, that falls under peers.
Awesome. I agree. I think those are two great leadership competencies that support the goals that you described. So let's transition to the next big green chunk of the document. And this is where we start to firm up those goals and write them in a manner that they're smart. And so let's think about goal number 1, which was around the development of principals or assistant principals that are on coaching plans. We want to make that a SMART goal. I brought us a document that reminds us what are the attributes of a SMART goal: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So you spoke about wanting to have the 2 school leaders that you support to proficiency by December.
Yes.
Does that feel specific?
Yes.
Does it feel measurable because it's 80% based on the document?
Yes, and I think a step though is I'll need to talk to the ILD because the mid-year McCrell is just progressing, not progressing. We'll need them to rate those specific indicators.
Yep. Let's make a note of that so you don't lose
Yep.
that. Does it feel achievable based on the 2 individuals that you're working with?
Yes.
Great. Relevant toward the work that you do in our goals as a team and a district?
Yes.
And time-based? I said
December.
All right, so I think we've met the criteria of a SMART goal based on goal number 1. Let's transition to the right side of the document and think about your personal planning and preparation. That was a priority for you as well. And you mentioned a couple of things, that you have 10 people and that you see approximately 6 per week, and that you estimate if you set aside 3 hours a week, that would be roughly 30 minutes per person, that would be a good starting point to see if that met the needs of being well and intentionally prepared.
Yes, there's 6 that I see weekly,
Mhm.
so my other 4 are in addition to that every other week.
Okay.
So some weeks I have 7 or 8 visits, but we'll start with 3 hours and see.
Okay, so let's record that and check it again. Feel specific and measurable.
I'll have 3 hours of coaching prep time reflected on my calendar, 3 hours like if it's a full work week, 5 days.
We think that's achievable. We're gonna make sure.
Yep.
Feels relevant based on the conversation. It's time-based per week.
So I guess at our one-on-one check-ins, bi-weekly,
Yep.
that means every other week,
Right.
we can just pull my calendar up and look at it
See
and
if
just
you're
see
doing
if
it.
I've done it or not.
Yeah. Let's pick a date and just write it down that we will stop and check if this is achievable. So what would be like a good at-bat to give this some practice to see if this is the right kind of threshold or not?
What about, like, I have my calendar pretty much set for the through the last full week in September. What if we checked in then to say, okay, you've had 4 weeks to try this out? Does that feel like too long of a runway or
To
too
me,
much time?
does it work for you?
Yep.
Awesome. So we are gonna check on this particular goal, I'm gonna say October 1st to
Yep.
see how September went and see if we need to adjust it and if it's realistic.
Okay, that sounds good.
Awesome. Now, I wanna take just a few moments and talk about like your current status of this work that you wanna,
Ooh.
these 2 goals. So this is an overall rating of your progress toward the goal. We understand that we're just starting this. If you were to self-rate, what do you think you would be?
Well, on the coaching plans, I can't be satisfactory yet because we're just starting. So I'm gonna say I'm unsatisfactory. I don't feel like I'm poor because the plan is written and I'm starting the work. So I'm gonna say a 2 on the coaching plans. And the 3-hour-a-week prep time, I haven't met that threshold yet. So I would also say currently unsatisfactory on that one.
All right, ouch, how does that feel?
Well, how do y'all think it feels? Welcome to my self-assessment. It feels a little like, because I don't want to think of myself as unsatisfactory, but honestly, it is what it is. And
Yep.
if I'm not doing the work, these are school leaders. They have the biggest influence over what happens with teachers, and so they deserve more from me.
I appreciate your transparency and your reflection. I also just want you to know that I am absolutely confident that you will move from unsatisfactory very quickly and it won't feel icky. So just a couple more things. When we think about the 2 goals that you've set, I'd love to just right now stamp like what are some strengths and what are some specific opportunities around each of them so it will help you launch successfully. So when we think about the coaching plans, what are a couple of strengths that you can identify around coaching plans and yourself?
So I've already reviewed the coaching plans with each leader.
Nice.
And really framed it in really just like belief, like this is gonna happen and we're getting there, so they don't feel like it's a wah-wah. They
Yeah.
are like, okay, this is what we're doing. So I think it's an opportunity to like further leverage that with being really intentional with planning. I also think that it's like we're not hiding the ball under the cup. They know what they need to do,
Yeah.
and they know why it matters. And so it's like there's no ambiguity in it. So it helps them have a focus. Opportunities for growth, I think that's, again, is just gonna be my consistency with making sure that I've planned appropriately so they have opportunity to demonstrate those sub areas of the goals.
Yep.
Because if I haven't planned well and they don't have the opportunity to demonstrate it, then it's a missed opportunity for them, and that's not fair. So that would be a big opportunity for growth there.
Yeah, I think the other thing I would just stamp is earlier in the conversation, you said a next step is you wanted to connect with the ILD.
Mhm.
So we recorded that. So that would be another opportunity. I think a strength that I would want to stamp around this work is that you provided a strong model last year for the team. This was a new effort that we undertook last year, and we had some learning pains, but we also saw some really bright spots in the work. And so you've always done really high quality work around the coaching plans, and you've always done a really effective job of documenting the work and the evidence in your notes section. So I think those are real strengths that you possess around that work. Let's talk about the other goal around your planning and prep time. So what are a few strengths? I think you mentioned a few, like you've already got a system, it's color coded, share it with me.
Yep, I share it with my team, like my calendar is visible to many people. I feel like it's just doing it. Like I know the importance of planning and prep. I know the impact it has on leaders. So I think the fact that I don't have to be convinced of that helps me just buckle down and do it. I have the will.
Any opportunities for growth?
Yeah, I'm just too popular. They all want me to be in their buildings. They don't want me to have, they're like, are you busy? That's the hard thing. If someone's like, are you busy? And I'm like, actually, I'm busy planning. But in the moment, they're like, I need something. So I'm like, what do you need? Can you get on a call? I never say no unless I'm actually like either with another leader or in like a team meeting. If I'm just doing my own work, like I make the choice to prioritize the person that needs something, even if it means I'm doing prep at home.
Yep.
So I think I just need to find a way to balance that. Even if I'm like, if it's an emergency, yes, I can hop on now, but if you can give me 30 minutes, then I can hop, that would be better.
Write that down, that's
Yeah.
a good idea. I think another strength that I know is since 5 of you are in a 10-by-10 office this year.
It's great, we're cozy.
I think another particular strategy that you've done is you have that little, I'll call it a flag, I don't know what that thing is.
Collaboration, it's a little wordly
Whirly
You're the
machine.
one that gave it to
I
me.
know, I don't know what it is, but whatever that thing is, that is as a symbol of like, it's my work time, like don't interrupt. And I think that's been a strong move to make not only you successful in planning, but helping the rest of the team be successful because they use it as well. And then I think an opportunity for growth that I'd also considered that you've already said is there anything that you can deprioritize or at least put some parameters around? Is it an emergency? No, like
Yep.
give me 30 minutes. I think
Yep.
that'll help. My last question for you today, Katie, is what do you specifically need from me to be successful in helping your 2 school leaders achieve their coaching plans and to ensure that you have 3 hours of planning a week?
I think during our team schools meeting, just like consistent time to connect with ILDs. So I just know that I'm on the right track. So that with the work we're doing with the coaching plans, ultimately they're the ones that evaluate and rate on McCrell. I would hate to be doing a bunch of work and then we get there and that work was great and they had 80% and yet it didn't translate to how the ILD interpreted effectiveness. So I want to stay in connection to make sure that we're aligned. And then I think just holding me accountable with my calendar, look at it and be like, excuse me,
Yep.
where's your plan time? Or yeah, make me tell you the truth if I did planning on the weekend or at night.
All right, so the 2 or 3 things that I heard is you need me to leverage time with ILDs and coaches consistently so that you can check in about progress school leaders are making. I've already set aside 30 minutes on September 4th's agenda to do that, and we'll consistently embed that in the agenda moving forward. And then at our one-on-one check-ins that I'm going to sit down with you, look at your calendar. I'm looking for blue time that's coded prep time, and that I'm gonna hold you accountable and make you tell me the truth if you're using the time or not.
You could incentivize me.
What would you like as an incentive?
That would be HTO.
HTO, I knew you were gonna say that.
Unsweet watermelon, unsweet mint.
All right, Katie, I appreciate the time that we have together. We'll be reviewing this at our check-ins every other week, and then we'll take a little longer view of the work around December and see how it's going.
Okay,
I appreciate you.
thanks.
Yep.